Trauma isn't the event, it's what goes on inside your body. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kinsey if you're new here, and over here we talk about all things from manifesting to healing your trauma to relationships, everything in between. So if that resonates for you, please stick around. I would love to have you along on the journey. Other than that, let's dive into it. So today, it's my filming day. I need to just film a sit down and chit chat because I have had a day. But it's my filming day, so I need to show up for you. I need to show up for me, for this channel. I'm going to show up no matter what. So we're going to chit chat. I'm going to talk about what went on today, why today was a crazy day. I actually had 2 experiences with triggers today that I really want to share. One of them actually was my son's, who is 10. Very mature for 10 though. Emotionally, he's very developed, and I love that about him. And he did give me permission to share this story, and I think it's very beneficial, especially if you have kids. So I'm going to share that, and then what happened with me, which was pretty major for my life and where I'm at right now. So let's get into it. If you're familiar with my channel, then you already know this, but the last year and a half has been the biggest change ever. Just to briefly go over it, I had a near-death experience from my ex that was domestic violence. That day our whole lives changed. We had to completely find a new house and move, and all of a sudden my older sons never saw him again. They have not seen him since then. That was a year and a half ago, almost a year and a half ago, I guess a year and 3 months ago. And then my toddler twins have like supervised visitation now, and our whole lives have just been flipped upside down. It's been crazy. So not only have I been going through these major changes, but so have my children. It's been a lot for them. So as you can imagine, they have had to go through a lot of emotional ups and downs, because that's a lot for an adult. So for a kid, that is crazy changes. And my 10-year-old is the oldest. He is a gem. I love him. He's my best friend. He got really upset today. I wanted him to play with his brother, because his brother's 8, and his brother kind of doesn't have a lot of friends. And so I was like, can you please just go hang out with him for like 20 minutes? Just go spend a little time with him. I don't care what you do. Just go hang out outside for a little bit, just spend some time, make him feel, not alone. And so he went out there, and then he came in, and he was just really, really mad, and went upstairs, and I gave him a few minutes, and then I went up there. We kind of had a heart-to-heart, and I wanted to break it down and be like, okay, why are you mad? And he's like, well, I wanted to play soccer and I didn't want to, and that made me angry. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to make you this angry, because he was really, really angry. And sometimes this happens from time to time, or he gets really angry where you can tell it's not just that, whatever's happening. And I know that it's something from our past situation trying to come up, and I try to help him heal in a way that's okay for a child. And so we kind of worked through it, and he, in his own words, I was so proud of him for this, he said, I was like, well, how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? And he came up with, I felt controlled. And I was like, that's amazing. When else in your life have you felt that same feeling? And he kind of paused for a second, and he's like, there was this one time at our old house where my ex, I'm not going to say his name, but my ex banned us from playing in the spot we really liked to play in, because we touched the garden hose and we weren't supposed to, or something. It was something so stupid, something that I was totally unaware of ever even happened. It must have been when I was at work or something, because I didn't even know about this. He felt controlled, and that was his space that he loved to play in, and he got yelled at by somebody who was constantly angry, constantly mean to us, constantly yelling at us, constantly telling us what to do and bossing us around. And so he felt controlled, and I was like, this is amazing. We're having this great coaching moment, because I am a coach, so it's great when I can have those moments with him where I can get him to crack open, because he is very hard to get to crack open. So when we can do that, it's perfect. So it was great for me to see it in his eyes too, because I could see him connecting those dots. And for him, it's now he knows, next time he feels anger, that it's not going to just be that. And I tell him that all the time, where, your anger isn't just from this, it's a buildup of other things. But this was the first time he was actually able to trace it back to a specific event. And I think he's known that, like, the buildup of anger is also from mainly things from that era of his life where my ex, was in that kind of controlling and, not so nice frame. Then I helped him work through some inner child work, because I feel like inner child, we have this connotation that it has to be like an adult going way back to when they were a kid. But this was 2 years ago. So he was able to go in his mind 2 years back and hang out with that kid. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you, go up to that kid? How is he feeling? What looks does he have on his face? Does he look sad? And he's like, yeah, the kid looks really sad and lonely. And I was like, okay, so why don't you ask him what he needs? And the kid needed a friend to play with. So he ended up, giving the kid a hug and playing with him. And then, I had him say some really nice things to the kid, like, you're safe now, you get away from here, everything turns out to be okay, I'm here for you now, I'm going to come play with you, I'll come back. I had him do this whole inner child thing. And he left the situation like a whole different person. I could see he was lighter. I could see he was happier. Like, it helped him so much. But that one thing triggered him, because he felt the same way he felt at that time. That seemed so, like, irrelevant 2 years ago. One instant. So triggers can come out of literally anywhere from any time frame. So I just thought that was really interesting to see in a child, and to do inner child work with a child. And I think that for parents, that's really important, and I could see it really, really working for him. And now I know that that's something that works for him. And every child is different. That's not going to work for every child. I'm sure, every kid needs his or her own ways of coping through those things. But now it's like such a aha moment for him and I both, because we found something that works for him in those moments. But I had to tell him, like, it's his job to tell me when he's feeling those things, because there's a difference between him just, like, not listening, and him having one of those moments where he's feeling triggered. And, it's important for him to know that that was a trigger. We traced it back, and we can do that, but I can't see in his mind. He needs to be able to communicate to me when he's feeling that way. So that was really, really amazing, and I was so proud of him, and we had such a great moment today. And, like, as a parent and as a coach, those are the moments that are, like, you just feel so fulfilled and so proud and so happy that you're able to help somebody in such a deep way. Now for my own trigger today, this happened like an hour ago. Okay. To preface this, I recently got pre-approved for a home loan. So proud of myself. This is not the first time I've been pre-approved, but the first time I've been pre-approved for this amount without, like, my partner. And I both doing it together. So I'm just really proud of myself, and it's been super fun house hunting, and I'm excited to get my family out. We live in an apartment right now, and it's so cramped and small. My kids, like, my twins share a room and my boys share a room, and I have a small room, and it's a lot. So I'm really excited. But before I even got pre-approved, I found a house on Realtor. This is what's kicked this whole thing off, was this house that I found, and I fell in love with it, and I was like, this is everything that I need, because it's 1 story, 3 bedrooms, and then, like, the basement, they had already started converting into 2 bedrooms, but, like, stopped halfway through. And I was like, that is literally perfect. That is exactly what I need. Everybody would have their own room if I finished the basement. Like, I was so excited. That was what connected me to my lender, was I asked for information on that house, and that realtor told me, oh, it's got an accepted offer, but I'll get you to a lender. Once you get pre-approved, then we can start looking for other houses. So I got pre-approved, and then this house is back on the market, and I guess the other offer fell through. So, like, I still have like other houses that I'm looking at, but, like, this one, I went and toured it, and I'm like, yes, like, I want it. I'm putting an offer in. I will do whatever it takes. This was on Monday. Okay, today is Friday. All week we've been talking to, like, my realtor's been talking to the realtor who is listing the house, like the listing agent. So my realtor's not the listing agent on this house, which is important for this story. And we've been in communication, and my offer was, I offered asking price, and they messaged us earlier this week, and they were like, will you put a railing on the basement and paint up before the inspection. And I was like, yes, I will pay for that, and I will go in the house and do it. No problem. Just tell me, like, the measurements. I'll go measure it. I don't care. Like, I will go in there and do it. Yes, I will do it before the inspection. Agreed to do it. And then there was like this other thing where they, I can't even remember what it's called, but basically I offer $4,000 less, but they give it back to me to go towards closing costs or something. I don't even remember how that went, but it was something about $4,000. And they said, yeah, we're going to do that. So basically, essentially saying like yes to everything. Yes, the house is going to be yours. Yes, we're going to sign it. Yes, everything's good. Yes, yes, yes. You're the only person interested in this house, and you're the only one going to get it. This house is on the market for 61 days, okay? It's been on the market. Right now, it's a seller's market. So tonight was the night that they were supposed to sign to agree to sell it to me. And we've been waiting all day because it was at some point today that they were supposed to sign it. We've been waiting all day to get the news that like, okay, it's yours, like you got a house. And all week I've been making all these plans. I've been like looking at the pictures and like planning how I want to do everything. I've had all of these plans, like anticipating, because they told me I had the house. My realtor called me and she's like, okay, so I have bad news. And I was like, oh no. And basically what had happened was the listing agent told her that, mind you, my agent called me at like 6, maybe like 6:05, but the listing agent said at 5:53 they had an accepted offer. And now I'm not a realtor, so like don't come at me for if I'm saying or misconstruing anything. This is just like my perception of what my realtor told me. I could be wrong, and maybe it's different state to state, I don't know, but this is how it went for me. She told me that, and she was so apologetic. And my realtor is amazing. She's so sweet. She offered to help me paint when like that was still a thing. She was like, oh, I'll come help you paint and put the railing up. Like, I have no problem. Like, she's the sweetest woman. I love her so much. But she was like, this is not how business should be done. Realtors are supposed to communicate when there's another offer in, and like we're supposed to be like in touch with each other about these things. She did not tell me that it was another offer, and not only that, but it was one of her people. Like, she's a listing agent and she found the buyer, so she was the one who, like, she basically hid the buyer from us, because like my realtor was talking to that realtor, and that realtor said, okay, here, you need to be willing to do these things and we'll sell it to you. So I said, okay, I'll do those things. But then she went to her buyer and said, okay, this buyer, being me, is going to do these things, so you need to do more than that. And she did. So then she got it for a higher price, meaning that realtor was going to make more, and I lost the house, which is not how you do business, and it was really shady. I was so disappointed, okay? But like, not only was I disappointed, and obviously I was disappointed because I was told that I had this house, I had all these plans. I literally started packing, like I had everything in the bag. They told me I had it. So I was very disappointed. But not only was I disappointed, I could feel that I was triggered, and I didn't know why. And I was like, okay, this is more than disappointment. I need to work through this. What is going on? So I really had to sit with myself and dig deep. And here's the thing about coaching. Like the key to coaching or finding your own stuff, and this is why I'm telling you this is so you can help yourself, is just keep asking why. Layer by layer by layer by layer. If you're trying to figure out the root to something, and you get a layer deeper, and then say, okay, why? And then get a layer deeper, okay, why? And just keep going until you find the root to it. And so that's what I did. I'm like, okay, why am I feeling this way? And I was like, okay, well, this brings me back to the last time that I was house hunting, which was when I was pregnant with my twins, and that was 2022, when the market was super crazy, and it was me and my ex. And I realized, and I didn't even realize this back then, but I realized that we were in the same apartment complex, in an apartment just like this one, but with him living here, and he was being so mean. And I thought at that time that buying a house would stop him from being mean. I thought it was because it was so small that he was short fused, and that's why he's being mean to us. So every time we would get, notified that we got outbid on a house back then, it was like more and more disappointment and more sad. And then it was like, I'm stuck here with him being like this. I need us to get out. I felt trapped. I felt stuck. I felt, scared and sad and disappointed and hurt and all of these different emotions. So getting this rejection when I was so hopeful and just like assuming that I had this house brought that back up to me. And so here's another thing about when you go through something traumatic, because trauma doesn't have to be like a near-death experience or abuse or anything like that. Trauma can be something like what I went through house hunting back in 2022, because it's about what happens inside your body. Trauma isn't the event, it's what goes on inside your body, which is a big misunderstanding. And I didn't learn that until I went through my trauma-informed certification class. What happens is, and I'm going to give the analogy that I learned in my class because it's such a good one. When you think of, they use a gazelle in a field. Gazelle's eating. Lion comes in to try to eat the gazelle. Gazelle's adrenaline spikes, goes running. Lion chases it. Gazelle gets away. Lion gives up. He gets tired, runs, leaves. Gazelle calms down and goes back to eating in the field like nothing happened. That's the cycle, okay, of traumatic thing happens, adrenaline peaks, then, cortisol raises because that's what it's supposed to do, comes down, calms down, and then you can go back to normal. That's a complete cycle. When you go through a traumatic event and you can't fully complete that cycle, you get stuck somewhere along the line. That's why you get trauma stuck into your body. So somewhere along the line of searching for those houses and whatever trauma got stuck in my body from that, whether it was him getting mad that we didn't get these houses or me feeling scared and trapped, and somewhere while we were house hunting he was mean to me or something happened, I didn't complete that cycle. The physical, and that's in your nervous system. This isn't just like an emotional thing. This is in your nervous system with your adrenaline and your cortisol. If you don't complete the cycle, it stays trapped in your body. And that's where somatic therapy comes in. Like, soma is your body. So that's why somatic breath work is so helpful. I know that I will find the right house. I know that that house just must not have been for me. Of course, I'm disappointed. Of course, it sucks. But I will move on and I will be fine. I will find the right house. And of course, I will let you know when I do. But I think it's important to share these things because we all go through trauma. We all go through disappointment. We all go through all of these things. And if we don't know how to properly go through the cycles, that trauma stays stored in your body. And I guess my biggest advice for you, without going into a deep lecture of a video on how to heal that, is if you're going through a traumatic event, if you get into a car accident, if you get into a fight with somebody and you are in a yelling match or whatever it may be, listen to your body, because that is the biggest clues to what your body needs. So there's a book written by a guy, and I can't remember his name. If I can remember his name, I'll put it in the description. But he got into a car accident, right? And this is after he had learned all of this, so he already knew. He got into a car accident and sat with the paramedics, and he, started breathing and remembered, that he needed to complete the cycle so this trauma didn't stay stored in his body, and his hands started to shake. He was very lucky to have a paramedic that he did, because the paramedic let him sit and do the things he did. So he let his hands sit and shake, right? And then he got to the hospital, and whatever else his body needed to do, he allowed his body to do. He didn't fight it. He didn't, whatever. So if your body's telling you to cry, you need to cry. That was something that happened to me. I was disappointed, and I had all of these things coming up, and I needed to go cry it out. So I went in the shower and I cried it out because that's what I felt called to do. So listening to your body and whatever you feel called to do in that moment, or even if something's coming up, like for me tonight, that helped me release whatever it was that I had stored from 2022. So I guess I'll leave it there. I guess that was enough talking. Thank you for giving me this space to just chat and vent and tell you about my day. Hopefully you got something out of this. I don't know. I guess it was just kind of ranting and venting. But other than that, I got nothing else. So I'm going to go to bed now. I need to sleep after that day. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.